So, when did you first learn to swim? No answer.
This is the Optimal IELTS YouTube channel. I'm Katya, and today we're going to talk about cars and about driving. Let's dive in.
Hey, wait a minute. What about me, Katya? It seems like she is so in love with cars and driving that she has forgotten that this video also contains vocabulary and themes connected to bicycles, which, as we all know, are much better for the environment than noisy cars. So, I will be talking about all things bikes. Let's begin.
Let's get into the car. Your car can be a right-hand drive car or a left-hand drive car. As you see, my car is a left-hand drive car. Your car can have a manual transmission or an automatic one. Luckily, I have an automatic transmission and this is dead easy to drive. Now I'm sitting behind the steering wheel. In English, there is an idiom, to be in the driver's seat. It means to be in control. I relish driving. I relish being behind the steering wheel, maybe because I just love being in the driver's seat. There is one more phrase, to ride shotgun. It means to sit next to the driver. If you are behind the driver, then you are in a back seat. Maybe you have a child and you want your child properly restrained, then your child will be sitting in a booster seat. Try to be more specific and maybe talk about upholstery. I will lie a bit here, but you can say the upholstery in my compartment is made of leather, so I just love the smell. And it's so comfortable in my car. There are armrests and head restraints, which make my trip even more comfortable and enjoyable. Now let's talk about the types of drivers. I hope you are a cautious driver because it means you are very attentive and follow all the rules. Unfortunately, there are lots of reckless drivers who do dangerous things and who couldn't care less about the possible repercussions. Probably the person who is sitting next to such a driver is flinching. There is one more type of drivers, and this is a backseat driver. No, this is not the person who is sitting behind you. This is the person who is not driving, but tells you what to do. This is very annoying, trust me. And one more type of drivers, it is a designated driver. This is the driver who does not drink at parties, so you can rely on this person to take you back home. I'm an avid driver, but there are lots of people who just don't like this hustle of driving. They don't like stress and trouble. And I can understand that so long as there are lots of traffic calming measures in pedestrian areas. So there are lots of speed humps and pedestrian crossings. So you need to stick to the speed limit. When you pass IELTS, try to mention the type of road that you take. It can be a one-way street, it can be a motorway, it can be a three-lane road. Maybe there is a new overpass and you can mention that as well. Or there is an incident and you make a detour. Maybe there are some reckless drivers and you need to honk the horn or pull over. Do you like driving?
No.
Come on, answer properly.
Okay, no. I really don't like driving because there's so many people who drive idiotically. You know, they get road rage in their veins as soon as some small little incident happens. Also, you know, especially when you're driving in a city, you know, you're trying to commute and it's bumper to bumper and it's noisy and it's hustle and bustle. I prefer to cycle because cycling gives me far more freedom, it's environmentally friendlier, and I don't have to put up with the fumes and the cost of driving. Where do you like to sit in your car?
Well, definitely behind the steering wheel. You know, I just love to be in the driver's seat. I mean, to control everything in my life. Why do people like to have private cars?
Well, I think the main reason is because it gives them a sense of freedom. It allows them to get off the beaten track or even on the beaten track. They can go anywhere they like. It's a sense of mobility, it's a sense of freedom, and you know, it's nice to own a car that you can personalize and that you can drive anywhere you like. So tell me, what is the difference in preferences between men and women's cars?
Well, I suppose nowadays these gender distinctions are blurred, but still I can see that men are more, opt for sleek designs and they opt for sport cars or CUVs. And they choose the cars by, horsepower, acceleration, infotainment systems. While women, pay attention to fuel efficiency and they more like compact cars with, more curved designs.
Traffic vocabulary. So let's talk about traffic. Right, well, bikes, like all other types of vehicles, need to abide by the traffic laws. The most important being that you ride on the correct side of the road, which in all sensible countries is the left, of course. Only joking. The biggest issue relating to road conditions is the sheer number of vehicles that utilise the roads, especially around the busy commuting times of early morning and early evening. This can result in dense traffic, bottlenecks that can cause hold-ups and sometimes even pile-ups. This can even lead to road rage. Delays can cause you to have held up or stuck in traffic for prolonged periods of time. Another issue connected to roads is that driving is impacted by roadworks, which can create diversions, resulting in your commuting having an elongated timeline because traffic moves at a snail's pace. However, remember, if you are riding a bike, then you are much lither and you can weave in and out of the traffic much more easily. You are far more maneuverable than a big, heavy car. Just another reason why bikes are better than cars.
Now let's talk about traffic codes. In order to drive, you need to have a valid driving license, and luckily I have it. What's more, your car should be roadworthy. It means it should include a minimum depth of tire tread, and I don't have problems with that either. If you park your car in a tow-away zone, then it will be removed. And this is logical because you leave your car illegally there. What's more, penalty points will be added to your driver's license, which revoke or suspend your driving license based on the number of points accumulated over a period of time. If you jump a red light, it means you do not stop at the traffic light, more points will be added. Or maybe you will have to take a breathalyzer test. It's better not to get into a road rage incident because that will increase the chances of your driving license to be revoked.
Is driving common in your country?
Yeah, there are lots of people driving, so that's why the traffic is dense, and overall traffic is not expected to die out till 8 p.m. So you probably need to leave early and avoid peak hours to beat the traffic. Do you think it is important to have a car?
Well, it's not essential to have any type of motorised vehicle, but of course they can be very helpful to you in your daily lives, going to work, going to school, maybe to pick up the kids, or just going about to the shopping mall. But of course you have to be alert at all times, and you need to be careful and keep your eyes peeled for potential hazards. So tell me, when was the last time that you drove a car?
Actually, I was driving to the train station because I was going abroad. But in truth, the traffic was bumper to bumper and I was driving at a snail's pace. But luckily, I managed to reach the station on time. What are cars going to be like in the future?
Well, for one thing, they're definitely going to be more expensive than they are now. But technology-wise, I think we're going to be looking at some more types of driverless cars. We're also going to be looking at electronic cars with larger lithium batteries, a lot more charging points as well, which will allow electronic cars to go further. We're also going to be looking at more developed hybrid facilities. So that's, I think, what we're going to be looking at. One aspect I don't think is very likely is we're not going to be looking in the near future at roadable flying cars. Okay, let's talk about vocabulary for bikes. Now, I love bikes. Now, Katya, she's a petrol head. She's someone who really loves cars. I'm someone who is in love with bikes. I actually have 5 bikes, but don't tell her that. Now, there are different kinds of bikes. The bike behind me is a road bike, and this is used for going over long distances, over smooth surfaces, and as fast as you can. Think Tour de France, although sadly, I'm not that good. You can also have a cross bike, an e-bike, a gravel bike, mountain bikes, city bikes, folding bikes. Now, the type of bike you choose really depends on what you want to do with it. So if you want to ride a mountain bike, the tires are going to be thicker and knobblier. The frame is going to be heavier, usually made out of aluminium or steel, because this gives you added safety and added security. However, the bike is heavier because you're not trying to ride as fast as you can, but more as carefully as you can over obstacles. Other types of frames are carbon fiber, which is this frame here. Now, it's lightweight, which adds to speed, but unfortunately, if you do crash, they do have a tendency to break. So crashing is not a good idea. The most expensive type of bike frame that you can get is titanium. Now, they're super strong, but also super expensive, and sadly, out of my price range. Okay, let's talk about more vocabulary connected to bikes, particularly on the bike itself. So we have the saddle, we have the wheels. On a road bike, these are thin because you want to go fast. On other types of bike, particularly mountain bikes, they'll be thicker with more knobbly tires, which aid for your grip when you're riding on uneven surfaces. The frame itself is made of carbon fiber, which helps it to go faster because it's lightweight, although I don't go that fast. At the front here, we have the spokes. Then dropping down, we have the pedals. These are clip pedals. You wear special shoes that clip onto the pedals. The other pedals are flat. Then at the back, we have the calipers. This is where the wheel fits onto the bike if you need to change it. I have also accessorized my bike with some water bottle holders, and inside the frame is a puncture repair kit, very important. I've also got bike locks, and on the front, a little waterproof bag where I can keep my belongings safe and secure. And then moving to the front of the bike, we have the handlebars. On a road bike, you have these drop handlebars. On other types of bikes, they will normally be flat. Then, of course, we have brakes, pull forward to stop, hopefully. And then if you want to change gear on a road bike, there's a little lever here that you push in or push out. And then, of course, finally, you need some extra equipment. Bike helmet, very important. You need to keep your head safe. I also have a little bandana, which I use underneath the helmet to keep my head from burning. And then, of course, gloves. Now, these are not fashion accessories. I'm not trying to go back to the 1980s, but they help provide better grip when the weather is not so good on the bikes. I love cycling. and I'm always, always eager to get on the bike, especially when it's a day like this. Because as we know, sorry Katya, bikes are better.
As much as I love driving, I have to agree with you, Jamie, that bicycle is the most efficient way of transportation, especially when the weather is favorable and when it is inclement.
Let's look at some key vocabulary for cycling. Well, I love cycling, especially going on long rides surrounded by beautiful nature. Although sometimes I just mosey along at a gentle pace along a road. Although, if possible, I look out for any available network of cycle lanes because it provides a safer riding environment. Occasionally, I try to pedal up a mountain, well, a small one. Cycling is also great for cardiovascular exercise and for toning muscle. One problem with riding is that inevitably you are going to have accidents, and falling off my bike has resulted in scraped knees and bruised muscles, which really isn't fun. One piece of advice that all cyclists must adhere to is to look after your bike. Check for punctures and use bike locks and specialised parking places. It is also a smart idea to affix bike racks. This creates the possibility for storing extra gear, such as waterproof outfits and repair kits. Additionally, I take my bike in for an overhaul about once a year, just to check everything is okay. An additional advantage that cycling provides is that the majority of major cities provide bike sharing programs. I have utilised this opportunity in a variety of cities, including Zurich, Vienna, Stockholm and Seattle. You need to remember that when you finish riding the bike, you need to check into the app and prop the bike up against something. Otherwise, you might have to pay a penalty fee.
Do you own a bicycle?
Well, I don't just own one bicycle, I own 5 bicycles. I have a road bike, which is a carbon fibre frame, which is really lightweight and is fantastic for when you're doing long cycles, and the brakes are amazing. I have a cross bike, which is a little bit of combination of off-road and on-roading. And that bike has about 25 water bottles because you get very thirsty doing that. I also have what we call a hybrid bike, which is really used for daily commuting. And that's an aluminium frame, which is a little bit heavier. What I don't have is an electronic bike yet, but Katya has promised me that the next time we go to Switzerland, we are going to do some cycling up the mountains using an e-bike.
Blimey, that's not true.
Tell me, when did you first learn to ride a bike?
When I was a small girl, I used to have a trike, and it was shocking pink color. And I so much loved pedaling it for hours. But if we're talking about a proper bike, then probably when I was an adolescent. I still remember my father flinching when he was teaching me how to, manage the handlebar and what the spoke is. So yeah, I still have these memories.
So, when did you first learn to swim? No answer.
Is cycling dangerous in your country?
Katya, can I just check? Have you pressed record this time?
This 7th time, yes.
Okay. To answer the question, yes, cycling is pretty safe in my country, but sadly there isn't an extensive network of cycling paths that you find in some European countries like the Netherlands or Belgium. But remember, safe cycling is up to you. It's your responsibility to have duty of care. Wear a helmet, check your brakes, make sure there's no cracks in your frame, and always be aware of your surroundings. We're just waiting for bikes to go past in the background to make the video more interesting. When was the last time that you rode a bike?
It was a couple of years ago in Switzerland. We rented pay-as-you-go bikes, and to be candid with you, Jamie was cycling and I was crawling behind, but actually it's not my fault because the cuff of my jeans got stuck in the chain, and I keep telling that, but he wouldn't believe me. So I think actually companies should take the bike in for an overhaul for it to work properly. Would you like to take a long cycling trip?
Oh, definitely, for sure. I'd love to. I've already done a couple of long distance road trips so far. One was in the Netherlands where I almost did a circumnavigation of the country, and I've done a couple of long distance ones in Japan too. But the one that I'm really looking forward to the most is to cycle the 800-kilometer Santiago de Camino, which ends up in Spain. Really want to do that in the future. Katia is also extremely keen to come along with me and to cycle the 800 kilometers.
Yeah, when pigs fly.
Look up in the sky, bacon's there.
Do you watch cycling?
Sometimes, yes, I do. It slightly depends on what type of cycling event. The Grand Tours are great to watch, but they do go on for 3 weeks. Some of the classic one-day cycling in Northern Europe is also really engaging. But I also love to watch the indoor track cycling because some of the speeds that the riders get up to is incredibly impressive.
Well, last year I took a road trip around Spain, which was particularly immersive. I intended to embark on this journey with 2 of my siblings, all of whom share my unwavering passion for adventure. But in truth, one brother copped out of it at the last minute with some feeble excuse, so I ended up going there with the other brother. Visiting Valencia had been on my bucket list for a long time because it's a picture-perfect place, and my brother could not resist my desire. So we decided to hire a car to gain, the sense of autonomy and escapism without being constrained by rigid timetables. That's what you have when you use public transport. So the drive approximately took 6 hours, and initially we calculated the shortest route as crow flies, but we made a detour for a more scenic route towards lesser known gems. We rotated our driving responsibilities, ensuring that each of us had enough time to stretch the legs and soak in the scenery. And luckily we stocked up on snacks and food to tide us over on the drive. So the trip overall was not arduous at all, and if memory serves me right, we pulled over only once at a picturesque location, and we filled up the tank, and overall it was exhilarating and transformative experience, and I will do it again in a heartbeat.